disruptive.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Hoping a fantastic day so far. And let's turn our eyes to my home native land of Canada here before it burns to a crisp, because Canada is on fire. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean, it's actually literally on fire. As you may have noticed, and if you're partially in the middle, Northeast America, you would already been experiencing this, but you may have noticed that there's been a bit of smoke in the air and a bit of wildfire damage happening alongside the Canadian region that's spewing smoke into other territories into the United States. And it is causing a lot of havoc, causing a lot of chaos, and causing a lot of destruction. So here's what Global News has reported on this, saying that Canada is burning. A look at the wildfires blazing across the nation. They said Canada could be on track for a record level of land burned due to an unprecedented wildfire season this year, government officials warned. As of Wednesday, 414 wildfires were burning in Canada, with 239 out of control, keeping 20,183 Canadians out of their homes. Emergency Preparedness Minister Bill Blair said, so far this year, 2,293 wildfires have torched 3.8 million hectares of land. The wildfires have left a trail of destruction across Canada, and their efforts have been left far behind the impacted communities, with smoke blanketing much of the nation. Global News committed to continuing extensive local and national coverage, yada, yada, yada. And there's it goes by provinces here. So it's been spread all across the region, all across the country. Here's Ontario. That's, my province here. And it says, as of Wednesday evening, 34 forest fires were blazing in Ontario. The province's wildfire agency said on its website. The fires are blazing primarily in northern Ontario, with a few communities outside of Ottawa and Sault Ste. Marie. Quebec, 137 wildfires burning in Quebec, according to the province's wildfire agency. Nova Scotia, 5 wildfires have been burning in Nova Scotia on Wednesday. The government sent an update. Alberta, 73 wildfires were burning in Alberta, province's wildfire agency noted. In BC, which they're no stranger to wildfires, in BC, 82 wildfires were burning as of Thursday morning, the provincial wildfire agency indicated in a statement. Northwest Territories, 11 said on their statement. So it's all over the place. New Brunswick, 4 fires were burning in New Brunswick on Thursday, the province said. So there's a lot of chaos happening right now. And I've been getting a lot of alerts for air quality index, and obviously, you step outside, you can definitely smell it, and if you're close to the region, you can definitely, really immersive smell of smoke, and it's damaging, it's destruction, it's chaos, but no one really knows how this came about or where it's happening, what's happening to it, because they say it's controlled. They say it's a controlled burn. A lot of these areas are, getting a bunch of firefighters from America and a bunch of fire departments around the region trying to combat this as much as possible. Some of it is controlled, some of it isn't. I'm not totally sure, but there's a lot to this story that needs to be investigated on. So here's even this. This is from Breakthrough News. They said, this is NYC today. Smoke from wildfires in Canada have covered the Northeast in a thick haze that is hazardous to inhale. City officials have called it a code red and advised against going outside, but residents complained there's been no systemic action, no widespread provisions of masks, no air purifiers, no protection for at-risk workers to stay home, and behind it all, no substantial international action on climate change. So this is the, here's what the video here is. You can see that it's ominous that there's smoke in the air, there's poor air quality. It literally looks like a scene of Apocalypse Now. Just the the abundance of the pollutants in the air. And that's Times Square in New York City there. Here's also someone else posted this about I don't know if this is the Brooklyn Bridge or another bridge in New York, but just look at the smoke. That's just all haze that people are breathing in. So this is a huge catastrophic damage. This is huge in a major crisis. But like I said, there's a lot of speculation on how this came about and if it's really going to be able to stop. So, let me also show you this too. So this is Justin Trudeau, our prime minister, who tweeted this out saying this wildfire season has been already devastating for communities across the country. We're taking action to keep people safe, to support those affected, and to make sure the provinces and territories have the assistance they needed. Here's the latest on the work that we're doing. So he posted this video here, saying that he's, gathering people together to help combat this fire. And here's the resources we're going to provide for people. But again, you have to take it with a grain of salt because of the lucrative work that Justin Trudeau has already been capable of and convicted of, and we know about him, the tyrant that he is. I'm not totally sure on the setback on this, but take a look at this.
1,214 wildfires nationally so far this year, and approximately 3.3 million hectares have been burned. And across the country, there are currently 413 wildfires burning, and 249 of those fires are deemed out of control.
We're going to get through this together, and our government will keep being there with whatever it takes to keep people safe and provide support. So far, we've approved 3 requests for federal assistance in Alberta, in Nova Scotia, and in Quebec.
For example, in Alberta, there are roughly 150 soldiers currently deployed in support of firefighting tasks in the Fox Creek region and in Fort Chipewyan. In Quebec, there are now 150 soldiers deployed to the Sept-Îles region. And in Nova Scotia, we have provided ignition specialist personnel and equipment to support their efforts, and an immediate response unit consisting of 200 soldiers from the 2nd Battalion of the Royal Canadian Regiment, and they have now completed the necessary Type 3 firefighting training. They're ready to immediately deploy from CFB Gagetown, and once the province assesses that conditions are suitable and safe, they will continue and commence firefighting operations.
Across the board, whether it's with members of the armed forces, to Parks Canada resources, to firefighters and equipment, the Coast Guard, Health Canada, and the Service Canada support, which Minister Gould will speak about shortly, our government is standing up support to keep people safe today and for wildfire seasons to come.
Emploi et Développement Social Canada a mis en place un groupe d'intervention pour la gestion des urgences afin de surveiller, planifier.
Okay, so that's in French there. I'm going to stop it there. I'm going to stop it there because my American viewers are not going to know what the hell she's talking about, but it's basically just repeating itself. It's catastrophic either way. It's catastrophic, and, it's good to see that people are gathering together to try to put this out as much as possible. Firefighters, they're even bringing in soldiers, which is amazing to see soldiers actually using their tactics to defend the country in a situation like this, instead of going overseas to just slaughter a bunch of random people. Like that shows the defense of the military. Like, that's the thing that we need the most of, is when the military actually is defending the country in ways like this, when there's an actual crisis on foot that's going to impact civilians. That's something that, something impactful of the military, instead of just, doing the corporate dirty work for geopolitics and slaughtering a bunch of people for capital so that global investors and military contractors can profit off them. So that's what Trudeau had to say about this. But again, there's a lot to take out of this, and I just want to show you this. I don't want to jump into conclusions though, but this is kind of interesting that some of these articles are being printed out as they're dealing with the wildfires. And like I said, I don't know exactly how this cultivated or how this started or where it came from. Some people are saying it's climate change. Some people are saying that it's arson. I don't know for sure. I'm not going to put my foot down on either or of the things. I'm just saying that is a catastrophic damage. There's a crisis on foot. And what we need to do is just try to fight these fires as much as possible and, could be concerned about the safety and civility of all Canadian citizens. That's I think the biggest thing. But I just want to show this because this is interesting. That the CBC is reporting that the RCMP believed that 3 of the fires that were set in Pictou County earlier Friday were deliberately set. So that is something to note about this. And I don't know if it's accurate. I don't know if it's true. They haven't really proven that this is an act of arson, but it is something to note that there's articles now printing about certain people connected to arson with the amount of wildfires. So it is something to add to this point and something to look into, that it can't all just be climate change. And as someone that actually, defends the environment and thinks that, we have been dealing with droughts, we have been dealing with a hot summer, and it definitely does add fuel to the fire, no doubt. What ignited this is still up in the air. So I'm not going to rule this out. I'm not going to rule out climate change. I'm not going to rule out anything until we have further proof and evidence to back those claims. But it is interesting that these reports are coming out as we're trying to, deal with the wildfires. Or how about this one? Kamloops woman accused of arson in multiple BC wildfires. And it says Angeli Elise Cornish faces 4 criminal courts related to fire start earlier this spring. And that was this is from 2022. So this is not the wildfires that we're dealing right now, but this is from last year when BC had a wildfire season. So there's something to take away from this. And I just want to show you that there are reports of these, arson, people convicted of arson in relation to this. But I'm not saying that this is the result of a bunch of arsonists and that there's no climate change. I'm not stepping on that territory. Nor am I just saying that it's all climate change and ignoring this. But I'm saying that we need to really look at this thoroughly. We need to investigate. We need to figure out what the hell is going on. But more importantly, at this moment, we need to respond to the situation. And we need to keep, people safe from the damage of the wildfires. Stop it from spreading. And, have firefighters and a bunch of first responders and, great work on them. Kudos to them. We can't thank you enough for the response to combat the wildfires and just make sure that people are actually safe through this. And I know that sounds kind of repetitive after dealing with COVID, but unlike COVID, this is a real emergency that affects everybody. And I don't know how originated or started, but that should be investigated. But like I said, the biggest thing right now is, air quality is at low. There's, fires still breaking out to this point. So if you're in those areas, just make sure you're safe, make sure you're well. If you're having, attacks or at risk of asthma or stuff like that, I guess recommend staying home, but I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word on it. But that's the biggest thing, is responding to this safely and securely, and making sure that we protect citizens here in Canada, and of course people in the United States that are dealing with the aftermath of the smoke billowing through their areas. But we'll see more information about this as it develops and go into detail, because like I said, it is surprising. These reports are coming up and giving all the details, trying to figure out how this originated and how to prevent it. It's a conundrum. It is going to be a very, very hard situation to deal with.